All right.
All right. We're here.
Finally, a little bit of technical difficulties. Hello. This is the 15th episode, 15th live stream.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a couple like episode 0 and
we had some
try runs and things.
And the radio show we did, which was kind of like a yearly warm-up, a year warm-up.
It was a warm-up. It absolutely was a warm-up.
The PG version.
It was the PG version. We were good at it.
We
were good at it. Yes. We had good-looking muzzles on.
Yeah, I mean, I only swore
Especially
once.
you.
I swore one time. That was it.
And we didn't get kicked off by the FCC.
No, it was great.
That we know of. At least we weren't told that we were kicked off by the FCC. But anyway, partner.
It's been a week.
Okay, so yeah, let's, with no particular order, right?
Yeah.
Republican debate tomorrow night, the second one. I think the field's slightly narrowing. I think they're -2 this time.
Who are they minus this time?
I can't remember on the spot there. It's the one is the governor of...
We'll just say they're -2. I can't remember.
They're -2.
Yes.
But my overall point to this is, does it really matter at this point? From everything you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still does. I do. Yeah, like Trump's lead is just growing and growing, right? I mean, but I still think there is uncertainty to that. So I do think there is a need for this debate, because we want, again, I want to see people. I want to see how they've had the first one under their belt, right? They kind of got the jitters out, the showmanship. Now I feel like this will get more substantive. I think there'll be a little bit more substantive discussion. I think people will call each other out on it a little bit more. So that's what I'm looking to see a little bit, because last time I felt was very surface level, like
kind
the
of
talking points, the talking points. Okay, like great talking points. How the fuck are you going to do that? Like, no one got into the real substance of it.
Yeah, the meat.
Like, hey, I want to eliminate the Department of Education. Okay, well, how and why and what's the ramifications of that? Give me the 5 next steps that's going to happen. So that's what I'm looking for on tomorrow's debate. But yes, I agree that Trump's lead just keeps fucking growing. Yeah,
the 800-pound gorilla in the room. So is the debate actually a play for, I don't know, VP?
Someone on that stage is going to be his VP, I believe. I think so. If he is the candidate that's running, someone on that stage will be his VP.
So okay, so I'm asking the question: what's your best estimate? If that's the case, then out of what you're seeing up there, who do you think?
Vivek.
Because he hasn't attacked Trump.
I think he hasn't attacked Trump. I think he's also a business person, which I think Trump will respect.
Okay.
I think he's a good counterbalance to him. Even though a lot of their viewpoints are the same, there is some counterbalance to one another. I think he is a little bit more poised, polished. I think I just think there's a lot to him that we don't know yet. I think he's young. I think there's just a lot of ways he counterbalances Trump, which is why I think he could definitely be the running mate.
Well, the Democratic information machine, just like the Republican information machine, but on the Democratic side now, they are ramping up research on him and they're doing their darndest to try to find.
Yeah, they're going. Of course, they're going to.
Yes, you can see that. So they must be taking him seriously.
They have to be, because I mean, what I like that he's doing, he's going on like all these podcasts.
Yeah,
like
it's accessible.
Yeah, like he's accessible. That's exactly right. Like he's going on podcasts in a t-shirt. Like he's not wearing a suit every time. Like I saw him on one, he was wearing a black t-shirt, like having discussions about life. Like that's what I like. Like whether it's a shtick or not, or whether it's kind of his just. His true, authentic self. He's become very relatable and very accessible for a Republican candidate. Like that's the big difference that I see. And he's young. He's 38, I think.
Yeah, he's young. He's definitely young. A lot of people think that the Haley selection for VP would
be too.
It would help.
Could, yeah.
It could help on the female demographic side.
Sure.
And I think that she's got more traditional conservative values, values is a tough word, policy, like philosophy, I should say.
Viewpoints.
Yes. It's just interesting to see when you start carving up the conservative movement, if I can say that, or the quote-unquote Republican Party, you carve that up. It's just like when you carve up the Democratic Party, you got all these different lanes.
Oh, you got plenty of lanes. Absolutely.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the conservative movement has changed. I think the majority of conservative, at least from my perspective, how I look at the world, I think the majority of people that are conservative now are really libertarian. Like I think they've really moved more towards the center because, again, society's so crazy right now. Like there are a lot of people that have the traditional values, but I think most of us we have some traditional, like fiscally conservative, but socially, a lot of us kind of don't give a fuck.
No question.
It's just just stay out of my way. I'm going to live my life the way I want. Don't question it. I won't question yours.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you my morals are better than yours.
Yeah.
Like that's where a lot of people are. And I think we don't talk about it enough.
No, we don't. And the comparison I'll make is that just like the Republicans would like to brandish all Democrats as being ultra left.
Right.
The Democrats brand all conservatives as being far right.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yes.
And neither narrative is correct.
No, it's the farthest thing from the truth, in my opinion.
And I think that hurts the overall discussion. It hurts and I don't see how that'll change, but it'll be interesting. I think the debates are healthy because whether or not they actually have or play into what will happen in the spring for the primary or the general in the fall, it's bringing different ideas and it's fleshing out things about people who want the highest seat in the office. And I would say that had the Democrats fleshed out during 2020 a little deeper, they might not have ended up with Joe Biden. I don't know. Maybe they would have, but they might not have.
No, I would agree.
It felt like he was handpicked by powers that had the power.
He was the safe. I always come back to he was the not Trump safe bet. He was like, Trump was so volatile and the world was so volatile. It was, let's put the old grandpa back in office so we all feel safe and secure. Like he can't fuck anything up. Yeah, that's what people looked at. Like he just can't fuck anything up.
I think too, when you really dive deeper, it may, and again, it's just an opinion. It also may have been that whoever in the Democratic machine is really in orchestrating the movement, or the group of people doing it, it probably was easier to have him because he was more pliable.
Oh yeah,
a younger person with their viewpoints and their drive are going to want to do it their way, and the machine per se could not control their behavior and narrative like they were for Joe. Joe won in his basement,
right,
and he did not actually theoretically, honestly and truly campaign like a typical presidential election.
No, not at all. And that's why they got Trump out. They couldn't control Trump. Like the machine can't, because the machine's in play on both sides.
No question.
Like they couldn't control Trump, so they had to get him out. Like that's really what it was, in my opinion. Like that's how I see it. But again, we keep the bigger problem I have with all of this when it comes to politics, and because to your point, like you said earlier, the majority of conservatives and Democrats, we kind of all live in the middle, but we don't talk about it, right? It's the far left and the far right. So we are trying to upset and change society to pander to a very small minority in most instances. When it comes to even like the trans sports movements, like all these different things, like if you look at statistically, the percentage of people that fall into those classifications, it's very small, but yet we're trying to fundamentally change pieces of society to satisfy a very small percentage of society. Politically, like theoretically.
And isn't it insane? Because it goes against human nature. Because human nature would tell you that the majority of people on both sides would not be steamrolled by a loud, small minority. We were letting it happen.
Right. Because of the fear of being canceled, the fear
and
of
there's
offending.
some psychology to that that's got to be pretty deep, man.
Yeah, I think there's a definitely a mass psychology at play right now. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we've gotten to a point in society where everybody's so fearful of being canceled or being attacked. So we just keep our heads down. I think so. Maybe not as much as 2 years ago. At all? Partially, like I find myself like I'm gonna say what I feel. Like I never mean to offend anybody. I'm kind. I have my viewpoints. You can have yours. I'm not telling you my viewpoints are better than yours or I don't agree with yours. It's just like when I come down to, we were having a discussion today about the trans sports. Like biological males playing in female sports. Like, why are we doing this? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, if we look at athletes, like how many athletes statistically are biological males that identify as females playing in sports? It's probably less than 1% of all athletes out there.
It's
But yet
considerably less than 1%.
But yet we're changing the entire fundamental structure of sports to cater to that. Like, that just doesn't make sense.
So
like, how do we
get here?
I don't know, but think about it. This would be like me saying, okay, I'm from the UK. I'm gonna drive on the left side of the fucking road, and that means all the rest of you have to do that as well, because I will be offended if you don't, because I believe that this is how you're supposed to drive. So you guys have to also agree with me, or you're wrong. Like, it's a simplified example. But that's what I feel like it is.
So, but it seems like to me we've taken the concept of human emotion and we're pandering to it now.
Correct.
Whereas we're not permitting room within society to be disappointed, to be I don't know, to have our beliefs affirmed by a mass. It just seems like the typical hurt that comes along with the human experience all of these centuries. Right?
Yeah.
We've somehow now need to change that because we don't want anyone to experience
That's
pain.
why we have a weak society. This is why we have gotten weak as a society, because we are not letting people feel emotion. We're not letting people feel the negative emotions, hurt, disappointment, sadness. Like, that's part of life. That builds character. That builds strength. Like, to try and protect everybody from every negative emotion in the human experience is leading to a very faulty and flawed society. And that's where we are. We're a very weak society. Like, I look at like men, most men, in my opinion, are weak because we're too worried about our feelings. Like, I believe in stoicism. Like, that's kind of my philosophy. It's like, we are meant to do certain things. We are meant to be virtuous and strong, and we are meant to have certain emotions. And I'm not saying we can't feel emotion. Like, I feel emotion every day, right? But I have to also be strong. Like, there are certain things, like, I'm not asking someone to cater to my emotions. Like, I learned to deal with that myself. Like, I'm not giving that power to someone else.
And what you just said, isn't that maybe the problem? We're catering to all emotions.
Correct. Yes. And we as people, like, I'm not giving that. When I let somebody else impact my emotions, I've given them the power. Like, I'm not doing
100%.
that. Like, that's what we got to get back to. Like, we control 100%. The power of our emotions. Don't give that power away. I don't know how we got here from debates, but
we're on our way. So last couple of days, President Biden has come out and said he's going to walk the picket line with the auto workers.
Of course.
Now, for a Democratic president to side with labor is nothing unusual, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all.
Correct.
What I don't understand, though, is he has been on record, and his administration's been on record, as to working toward a solution, supporting both sides in the negotiation, and understanding the impact that the strike will have, not just with the union and their families, it's society in general.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can, at least from an appearance standpoint, you can go walk with picketers and say some rather, I don't want to use the word inflammatory, but there were strong words if you also support both sides getting together and solving the problem. By taking a side so visually like that, I don't, and again, it puzzles me because I'm probably going to guess there are either people in his administration or people in the Democratic Party machine that are looking at this from afar going, what is not the move to make now.
I'm sure a lot of people are saying that.
Yes,
absolutely.
Again, just an opinion.
Like, I think, did someone just let him out of the house unexpectedly and he just fucking wandered into a picket line?
I don't know.
Because to me, it makes no sense.
He had to get there.
I mean, but I'm saying it makes no sense to me. Like, what is the optics they're trying to portray? Like, I can't figure that out. And to me, like, that's just, like, if you're trying to be a uniter of the country, like, you don't take a stand. Like, you try to help them resolve it. But when you stand and walk the picket line and say the shit you said, you're taking a side, in essence. Like, you're taking a side. Not saying that the side is wrong that he took, but if you were going to be the president and try and bring unity to this country, you don't take a side in that type of dispute, in my opinion. Just don't do it. I just think he's fucking lost his marbles.
Oh, he's
and
definitely.
and people are just kind of. And here's what I think is also happening. This is what I believe. People are letting him do shit like this because it's going to be easier to say he's not running. Like they're letting these little things happen more and more.
So visually proving his incompetence.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think is going on. Like I think because this is something that would not happen in a normal presidency.
I wouldn't think.
In my opinion, it absolutely would not. But they're saying, okay, like we're just gonna let him go, because then when it's time for fucking re-election, like yeah, you're not all here. Like you went and picketed. Like what the fuck? Like we need to get somebody better. Like that's what I think's happening. I can be completely wrong. Don't get me, don't hold me to it.
I can't
but
argue.
Logically,
it
makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. I get it to side with labor. That's his party. I get that. That was almost a foregone conclusion anyway.
Sure.
But to go visually to the picket line,
Right.
that's as the president, not as like a state rep,
Right.
even as you don't see senators doing it, but maybe even as a senator, but as the president of all peoples.
Right. You've picked the fucking side. Like you've shown you the side you've picked. So you've alienated half of fucking America or half of that side to be like, what the actual fuck?
Well, yeah, and it seems like the union was sending out signals before they were not on board with him in general anyway. So obviously it was a pander play. I get it. It's politics. I get it. But it just seems really an interesting decision.
Yeah, by far shitty president. That's all I can say. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah, it's bizarre. The guy who wants that job, it's pretty obvious no matter what comes out of his mouth or the Democratic Party, it seems that the Gavin Newsom just isn't going away. Now, it might be our national media keeping him in the spotlight, or it could be orchestrated on his behalf. I don't know. But he recently just went to the UN and proclaimed to world leaders that that California is taking climate legislation to new heights and all the regulations and all that stuff, and basically going full Monty with climate legislation to a standing ovation. He got it. The UN, not surprising. I get it. My question is, even if a portion of the population is on board, I would imagine the longer we go with high inflation and the longer we go with an unsettled economy,
right,
less and less people are really going to give a shit. That's my guess.
I completely agree. People do not give a fuck about the climate right now when the economy's the way it is and inflation's the way it is. He's just a fucking narcissist.
It's all politics is local, right? It's all about your pocketbook.
Yes, exactly. That's what we don't get. Look, I get there's probably climate change. There's probably something going on.
Sure.
Like, I'm not a fucking scientist.
Sure.
I'm not a meteorologist. Like, I don't know.
Neither is the public, though.
Right. Like, do I care enough to study it? No. Do I feel like if it gets really bad, someone will let me know? I should probably put sunscreen on or fucking do some shit when I go outside. Yeah. Like, you're right. Politics are the pocketbook. When you start affecting Americans' pocketbook, and until you can show me how climate change is doing that, I think your messaging is wrong. He's just a fucking narcissist. Like, he just thinks he's like the smartest man ever, and he's the fucking the second coming. Like, that's what he believes.
It just is fascinating to me. Like, I always feel like all of these maneuvers are happening in this arena that Americans call the American political system.
Yeah.
And all these maneuvers happen between elections, and all of these people that get thrust into the spotlight and doing things are often people that if you were able to go and take a vote of the entire public about what they think about that person, I'd venture to say that most of these people are not liked by the bulk of society.
No, but they think they are. Like, this is the problem. This is the problem with politics.
Exactly right.
That they think they are liked.
Exactly right.
Like, they're fucking narcissistic.
I think that's how, and even with policy, like, how progressivism got changed into wokeness, and
correct.
But there's a belief for those practicing progressivism or wokeness, just like there's a belief in those practicing pure conservatism, that their way is the correct way, and most of society is on board with my feelings.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
No, no, it's not. And we don't have a system to we don't really have a system to rein that in, except for the election every couple of years.
We all need to start saying something and doing something. We need to take a stand. Because again, like,
How?
I don't know. I
The
don't know.
vote, I guess, is all we
A
got.
vote, and I think just people need to be louder and like start making our voices heard, because again, like we've gotten to this point in America where we're just like I take a step back and think like 15 years ago, I'm like, this world is completely fucking different. Like we live in a completely different time. And like we just need to like take a step back, shake our heads and be like, what in the actual fuck has just happened? And can we get back to normal? Like we've got to get back to a place where we can say shit without worrying about saying stuff. Like, no, like if you say something intending to hurt somebody or offend somebody, then shame on you, right? But I think the shit we get offended by now is not intentional or meant to offend.
Okay, so good point. If you say something to intentionally to hurt somebody or offend somebody, shame on you.
Fucking right.
But that's where it needs to stop.
Correct.
It doesn't need to, that person doesn't need to be canceled.
Correct.
That person doesn't need to be put in jail.
Correct.
That person doesn't need to be fined.
Correct.
They need to be shamed.
Correct.
If they can feel shame. But if they can't, oh well, we move on.
Exactly.
We move on.
That's exactly.
I was listening to a very famous podcast the other night, and they were talking about movies that were made in the past 10, 15 years that could no longer be made.
There's a lot of them.
Funny fucking movies.
Yes, absolutely.
In my opinion. TV sitcoms.
Yeah.
And I was exercising while I was listening to this. I'm walking around this track and I'm listening to this, and I started to get sad.
Yeah.
That we have stamped out a good portion of comedy. And then the idea of comedy basically was, if it makes you laugh, then it has merit.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it doesn't. But just because it's not for you doesn't mean it might not be for somebody else.
Yeah.
Irreverency is not a new thing. It's been around forever.
Well, and it's funny, like talking about offending, like I heard Tom Holland, the one actor, like I heard this quote that I watched a video, he gave this quote. He's like, if I've offended you, text me or call me. Mm-hmm. If you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough for me to have offended you. And I'm like, that's exactly it. Like that, like we get offended by the stupidest shit. Like, no one's, it's comedy. It's people like, we've lost our collective mind. Like I'm 46 years old and I sit here sometimes and think, how did we get here? Like, how did we lose our mind? Like the stuff we do and say in the way society reacts or overreacts to certain things, like it's batshit crazy.
Yeah. I have empathy for a lot of people, and I have sympathy, and I know, and I have sympathy for people too. And I understand that, you know, people have been, I don't know, made to feel bad for their belief structure or their identity or whatever. I get it. And I can't say that I can talk from experience. Mm-hmm. I really can't. But I'm empathetic. I don't want anybody to be in a situation where we as a society are being hurtful. But we've taken the extreme. We've taken the extreme. And every little nuance that can be contrived as possibly maybe being hurtful, and we want to stamp it out even before it fucking happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. We can't maneuver this way.
No. And I don't think the majority of society is being offensive.
I don't think so either.
I think the majority of society are taking offense to things you shouldn't take offense to feel validation.
It's become
and to feel
sport.
Important. It's sport, exactly.
It's become sport.
They want to feel validated. So I'm like, my feelings are validated. So I'm offended. I'm gonna let everybody know I'm offended.
I am. Yeah. I don't know how we got there from climbing up. There we are.
Man, we're having
Senator Bob Menendez.
Yeah, indicted. Bribery.
Yeah, and I think
they found in his house. And
didn't
gold.
he? So 2015, he faced indictment too. But he was
a mistrial.
Was he acquitted? Oh, mistrial.
It was a mistrial. Yeah.
You know, it's bad when Pelosi even says that he should resign.
I mean, you know, it's bad when they go into your house and find $480,000 of cash in envelopes in fucking gold bars and fucking sports car, and you're a senator. Like, if you're a senator, you have $500,000 in cash in envelopes in your house. I mean, put two and two together. I don't think they pay you that much, and I'm pretty sure you don't go to the bank and cash your paycheck. You just put that in envelopes in your fucking house. Like, that's pretty good evidence of some sort of bribery scheme. Like, think about that. And I think his wife had $70,000 in her safe of cash.
Are we going to get numb though at some point in time?
Will
the public just get numb and say, "Oh, another indictment," and the veracity of the indictment in what it should mean in society?
Yes,
will not hold any water.
It's this whole thing with Trump is exactly why. because it's like they're indicting him everywhere for everything. So people are just like, I don't even give a fuck about indictments anymore. It's like if they really wanted to get Trump, you pick one thing and you throw everything at it, right? You go out, you take that one indictment, the one that has the most leverage and the most power, and you go for that. Instead, it's like if Trump fucking farts in Arkansas, he gets indicted for it. It's like anywhere he goes, he's indicted for something.
Yeah, and
people just don't take it
seriously. And the time frame that they all
right. So like
matured.
This one, like people are just like, oh,
I get it.
Another indictment. So what it does, it fucks me as a lawyer, right? Because now people are looking at the legal system as a mockery. Like we're using the legal system to indict people, do that. And we're like, for what? Like we don't know what it is.
No, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be. This one will be interesting to see how this plays out because he's a feisty one. Like I can see him fighting. Yeah, I can see him fighting this. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, going on memory, there was questions about his character,
ethics,
decades prior, like earlier on in his career, not just in 2015. I mean, before that, there was always rumblings that there was something going on. To be Teflon,
Bob.
Well, Bob.
What about Bob? Time to face the fucking music.
But but there are thoughts and there are people that have this following belief, Rocco. There are people that believe that there's this is kind of a strategic indictment too, because it's a legitimate indictment supposedly, but it also is going to it'll help fight off the narrative that it's just Republicans getting indicted. Here's someone prominent from the other side, and see, we're not just going after Trump. Our Justice Department indicted a sitting Democratic senator. So timing of it all is just interesting.
Yeah,
it's just
a sitting Democratic senator who had a fucking $500,000 of cash in envelopes in his house. A president who I don't even know what he fucking did. Like he incited a riot. Did he? I don't know. He said some things. Like had documents. I mean, you're allowed to have those documents as a fucking president. So
and other presidents have them too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be interesting to see how those trials mature.
Oh, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out, man.
Yeah, the one I think that he stands. Again, I'm not a legal person at all. I'm just a citizen. I'm just observing. But the one I feel that he's in jeopardy for is the Atlanta one, only because the population there is hostile. Like that, the voting public in Atlanta, I believe.
But if they remove it to federal court,
it could help him.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's in a very sympathetic court. I mean, maybe in New York he's not either. I don't know. But it's like anywhere. If they move it, maybe that would help him. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Did you see that Target is shutting down multiple stores, and they have identified that it is due to theft and vandalism.
Interesting. I would have never guessed. that that's why they're shutting down stores. Like, are you? Makes fucking complete sense. Like, have you seen the videos like on social media of people just going in and looting Targets? And I'm not doing anything.
But isn't it interesting though? Like first off, when a company takes a political stand, I always think this is not going to end well. It's just not going to end well.
It's the ESG score, man.
You may.
It is.
Explain what that is.
That's that's how they rate companies now. Like ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and the DEI, like diversity, equity, inclusion scores. The banks are rating companies. Like Larry Fink, the founder of BlackRock, basically says we will force people to be good by these scores. So they rate these companies, and that's how their stock price does, how they get financing. So they're doing this shit to fucking have an ESG score. Like Anheuser-Busch had like a perfect ESG score. They did the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, and then when they retracted it and apologized, their ESG score dropped. It's a total manipulation of get people to do what these people want.
It's just basically that's just you adhere to a certain philosophy, which the whole country does not agree with.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Roughly about half.
The people in power want it to happen. Yes.
Maybe.
No, I wouldn't even say half.
Right.
I honestly wouldn't even say half. I'd say 30% of the country. Not saying they think it's wrong. It's just they don't care enough to take a position, like
or to upset society.
Correct.
Or the order of society.
Correct. Yes.
When I say order, I mean the mechanics of society. Nothing sinister.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I just find it funny that a lot of the narratives with a lot of the big companies right away was we're for defund the police. We're for when it comes to, I'm only talking about the policing aspect. I'm not talking about anything else. They were okay with all of the anti-police rhetoric and a lot of the policies put in place since then in some of the bigger cities.
Yeah.
And their own businesses are taking a hit, not in a manageable way. We're talking to the point where they have to fucking shut down.
Right. That's just ridiculous. Like, that's where we are.
mean, it seems justified to me.
Yeah, I mean,
in hindsight.
Correct. But I mean, that's where we are. Like, you take these stances and let this shit happen to the point where now you have to shutter stores, and now it's going to impact your shareholders, right?
And the employees?
Correct. Like, think about the impact that's having. Like, if you want to be a fucking good social or corporate citizen, how about just fucking stop vandalism and stop theft so people keep jobs?
If you own a business, to me, and you want to be a member of a community that you house your business in, especially in retail, the very last thing I would ever want to do is not be in favor of my local policing.
Correct. Yes.
Especially in retail.
Just life in general. Police
doesn't make any sense
for a reason. Like, they keep order in society. Like, it's a selfless profession.
Yeah, I'm just puzzled at there's no logic to it. Like, there really isn't any. When you sit and think about it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think what they end up talking out both sides of their mouth simply because of the fact that they thought. I do think during 2020 there was a fear component there.
Sure.
You know, that if we don't say the right things or show the right things, or we don't virtue signal the correct way at the flavor of the week, because everything was changing from week to week. And I think some of them, especially some executives, they got caught up in their own bullshit rhetoric that I know they probably weren't personally on, but they had to do it. They thought they had to do it.
Agreed. And that's the problem we have. We are in this world where people think they have to do certain things. Like, we can't we just be normal again? Like, that's all I want. Like, just be normal. Like, don't think you have to pander to every viewpoint that pops up on a weekly basis. Like, I'm so tired of seeing the Facebook profile photos change. What's the fucking flavor of the week? What's the cause of the week? And it's fine. Like, if you believe in that cause, then do something. Take action, donate money.
No, that's not today's society.
Don't just virtue signal by changing your fucking profile photo
everything's
that
a
you
virtue
support
signal.
Fucking Cleveland or whatever the case may be.
Everything's a virtue signal, man. But
it's
I mean, the team mentality should be left.
Cause change.
No, the team mentality should be left in sports and left there. When it starts bleeding out into other aspects of society, it's not healthy.
Yes. If you care about a cause, do something. If you don't, then be quiet. Like, I don't, and that's what, and I know that sounds harsh, but it's gotten to the point where it's like, I see people that are constantly changing their photos, and this, like, what are you actually doing? If you care that much about a cause, like, if I care about a cause, I'm going to do something. I'm going to donate money or donate time. I'm not going to change my profile photo to say I stand with Frank, like, whatever the case may be. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Hey, Frank, Rocco stands with you wherever you are.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's just like
100%.
It's like, it's not making. If people care about a cause that much, then make a change. Be a catalyst for change. That's what we need in this country. And that's what we're not doing. This virtue signaling gets nothing done. It doesn't.
It doesn't get any. Not only doesn't it get anything done, but it just creates more division.
Correct.
And
Exactly what it does.
Feelings.
Exactly what it does.
And it also ends up mislabeling those who do the virtue signal or those who don't.
Correct.
But it ends up mislabeling both sides.
Yeah, because the people that are doing the virtue signaling might not even realize that's what they're doing. They may
100%.
just be thinking that's what they should be doing.
100%.
They don't know any better. Like, you feel bad saying anything because it's like they just don't know any better. Like, they think that's how they support.
Let's revert the conversation back for a second.
Yeah.
What about comedy? Like, do you think that we will eventually go back to a more open society on the avenue of comedy?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I think I watch some of the comedians now, like people like Matt Rife, if you've ever seen him. Like, he says offensive shit, but he's funny.
Right.
Like, he's funny. So I think we are getting there, right? I think it depends on the comedian. It depends on the,
but shouldn't they be able to say anything they want?
They should, yes. But again, I think the stars, like, they feel like they have to act a certain way, so they pander to that. Matt Rife was the guy that kind of just came up, and this is just how he hasn't changed who he is. Like, he says he makes fun of everything. and he doesn't like pander that. And that's what I like. I think we're getting back to that. We have to. Like, people need to laugh. Like, we need to have fun again.
More than ever.
We need to smile. We need to be kind to one another. We need to have that ability to just listen or watch something and just have fun and not read too deep into it. And if we don't like it, not get offended by it, just turn it off. Don't watch it. Leave.
But isn't that what we used to do?
Yes.
Like, I remember growing up,
exactly what you used to do.
My father would see me sneaking to watch Red Fox on HBO. And,
Right.
And my son, not in this house, you won't. And it was, but I would watch my mom and dad, like, I'd go down and I'd see them watching Richard Pryor. I mean, so, what I'm getting at is that if you just don't like something or it offends your sensibilities, I would make the argument that being offended at all was a huge waste of time.
Right.
But if your sensibilities are offended,
yes,
turn the fucking television off.
Exactly. You have a choice. If you're watching
America.
something or listening to something of which you are offended, turn it off. Don't watch it. It's your choice. Like, if you choose to continue to watch it and choose to continue to be offended, that is an affirmative choice you have made. You control your emotions. Like, you control your response to things. It's my determination.
So elemental.
But it's the simple solution. You control how you react.
The fact that we have to remind humans in 2023 that we should avoid the things that we don't like, if from an entertainment standpoint, right? Yeah. If it's purely entertainment or selective things in our life that are not really of big consequence,
right?
It's so-called entertainment fodder for our mind and our emotions.
Yes.
Then why would you choose to engage something that you don't like?
Because people want to be validated by being offended. I was offended by this. I was offended by this.
It gives them a reason to exist.
Yes,
they now
I'm going to
part
complain about it. I'm going to go on social media.
Because guess
cancel.
what? In their own brain, they feel like they are now special.
Correct. Guess what? No one's special, in my opinion. You can make yourself special, but you got to do the work to get there. No one's born special. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a harsh reality. It's you determine your specialness in this world, is what I would say.
Yeah, but that's such a harsh lesson. We shouldn't be teaching children that.
Yes, we should. Yeah,
absolutely, we should.
We fucking absolutely should.
But the narrative's flipped.
Yeah,
completely flipped now.
No, like I've told my son, like you show the world you're special. The world's not going to treat you just special just because you feel like you are.
And isn't that right? And isn't that reality?
It's reality.
So when you tell them the opposite and they go out and then their minds are exploded because it's not unfolding the way my mommy and daddy told me it was going to unfold.
Right. My boss doesn't think I'm special and fucking pat me on the back and give me a fucking snack when I fucking get the answer right. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, sorry. Like, sorry.
And Rocco and I've done a lot of panel shows on here, and he laughs at me every time I say this, but I ask a question on our panel shows to the group often.
Yeah.
I say, do you think it's just too easy to survive in America today?
Yeah.
And of course, some people think that's horrible to say. But if you unwind what I'm saying, we have so many mechanisms in place right now that if you don't want to do shit, you can somehow exist.
100%.
You're entertained by this little device you carry around.
I could never leave my house if I wanted to.
Very cheaply, right? Yeah. But decades prior, if you didn't work, you didn't eat, you'd be on the street.
Yeah.
That was reality. I'm not really sure.
It's not reality, no.
That's reality today.
No.
And that's a problem.
That's 100% a problem.
Our entertainment has become so encompassing in our daily maneuvers and so inexpensive.
Well, yeah.
We're getting all we apparently want entertainment-wise from this device for $30 to $50 a month.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
The world has gotten easy. I mean, you don't have to leave your house. I mean, you don't.
All right. Government shutdown.
Oh, that's fuck.
We've been through this before over the years, occasionally. We know what a government shutdown is, and I think generally anyone listening or watching this knows and has endured a couple of them. They don't last forever. It's, but my question is, does the public care, or do they even fully understand the implications of a public shutdown?
Both of those answers are no, in my opinion. They don't give a shit, and they don't understand what it is.
It's a political football, then.
Right. We say it every fucking how many months when we have to increase the debt ceiling. like every couple months.
Trillions
of dollars. It's like, oh, government shutdown. It's like, cool. What does that mean? Is my power going to still be on? Am I still going to go to work? Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, politicians are assholes anyways. If they shut down, maybe they won't.
And it's all monopoly money,
right?
Billions,
exactly.
Trillions, quadrillions.
Like no one, no, I don't think anybody really gives a shit or truly understands because they never really articulate what it means. It's like, oh, it's going to shut down. Well, the final minutes, we got a deal together. We both had the compromise, but we got a deal. It's great for the Republicans. Nope, it's great for the Democrats. Government's not shut down. We saved you all. 6 months later, same fucking conversation. That's what happens. So people, it's like the boy who cried wolf.
100%.
It's what's happening. Like, it's like, yeah, of course we're going to shut down every fucking chance we have. We get so close to the line because we want to make sure that people know why you should elect us because we saved the government from shutting down. No one gives a fuck.
All right, I'm going to end on a lighter note here.
Let's do it. I like light notes.
Yeah, lighter note. So, for those of you that don't know me deeply, this will be an awesome conversation. Rocco really won't give a shit probably, but I was fascinated by a Wall Street Journal article today that hit, I think it's online too.
Okay.
Mick Jagger, who to me is the king of rock and roll, and at one time, maybe a couple decades ago, was the most famous man on the planet, meaning like, you know, right around the beginning of the internet age, that might have changed. Probably the most identifiable person on the planet. You put Mick Jagger on anywhere in the globe, people are going to know who he is. Yep. He's 80. They put out a new record.
That's impressive.
I've actually listened to a couple of songs. It's not that bad.
Really?
Thank God for technology. But I'm saying, is it something we should, I guess we should applaud for living the fullest life we can. I get that. But when we talk about politicians and entertainers, we did touch on it last week just a little bit, but is it also an example of the unwillingness to those who are in those positions to give up the spotlight? Does it speak to our narcissism?
That definitely does. I think both. I think yes. I think, but again, more here in entertainment. So politicians is one. So I take these. Let's bifurcate them. Politicians, like, you're responsible for America and Americans, like policy decisions. If you're that fucking old and you can't formulate a sentence, probably get out of the way and let somebody younger come in. Entertainers, like, look, if people are going to pay to see you in a fucking diaper and a walker playing your music on stage, more power to you. Like, keep that spotlight. Like,
right.
Keep the spotlight as long as you want. Like, if I was an entertainer and I was 80 and still could do it, I'd be in the same. I'd be doing the exact same thing. It's like that's what my life is. I'm paid to entertain. Like, I want the spotlight. Like, because I truly believe when you retire, you're dead.
I get that.
Like, that's why I never want to stop doing. I love what I do. I will never stop doing it. I may change the way I operate. But I'm never going to be one day and be like, you know what? I'm going to get up every day and not do anything.
So if Jagger doesn't sing well, the consequences of that are some people are pissed off because they didn't get their money's worth. But if a politician can't function in their job, the consequences are large.
Right. It's the country that suffers the consequences. Yeah. The population. This is just the people that went to stage AE to see fucking Mick Jagger. Like, okay, you bought tickets to go see a band that's lead singer's 80 years old. That's kind of like buyer beware.
Well, it's kind of like going into a comedy club where you know the guy's going to drop a couple F-bombs.
Correct. Like, yeah, you should know what you're getting. Like, you it's pretty fucking basic. Like, that's the thing. So, yeah, but I mean, look, dude, I applaud him. 80 years old. Like, I want to live. I pray to God I live to be 100. Like, I don't want to think I'm going
past that.
I don't want to think I'm at the halfway point. I'm 46. I mean, that would be 92.
I'm just getting to the halfway point now. Let's just put that out there. So that means I got to live to be about 117ish.
But I think health is important. Like, I feel great.
Sure.
Like, just had all my blood work done. Like, I'm healthy as can be, and I love it because, like, I feel like as an adult, like, I just started figuring things out the past couple of years. And it's like, wow, like, there's a whole world ahead of me. And, like, to see someone like him, like, it's inspiring to me.
And he really is good. Like, he still does his thing.
And, like, he hasn't lost
the stages for these stadiums that they're on, or like he has these ramps that are like the size of a football field. He runs back and down. It's pretty unbelievable.
I mean, it really is. Like, I want to be, obviously I don't play music and sing, but I want to be that good of a fucking lawyer when I'm 80.
You have time.
I'm gonna start a band in my 50s.
Dude, think about it. Think about this: a lawyer band.
Listen,
a band of nothing but attorneys in like Armani suits.
I mean, the fucking word
jamming out like crazy.
I feel like, sure, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, you just got to find a bunch of attorneys that have the time to play instruments.
Oh, there's a few. I know a few that play blues and rock. We could. We're gonna expand
Listen, man.
on this, maybe.
I will be the band's lawyer. I will be the entertainment.
No,
lawyer.
we're gonna put you up there with a microphone, buddy.
Listen, man. I'll sing if I got to. I'll do. I mean, I have no problem getting on a stage. It's not a problem.
All right,
be good.
This week's over. Oh, came right back to me, huh?
It did.
Thank you all.
Yes.
We appreciate it. We'll be back
Definitely.
next week.
Absolutely, man.
For the 16th episode.
Yeah.
Time
definitely.
flies.
Holy
Have a
shit.
great week.
Awesome, man. Let me turn this off. That was fun.
It's excellent.